Hi guys, welcome to another Trade for a Living podcast episode. So today we're going to talk about Bitcoin's next big move, how I'm going to identify that, and I want to share the three pillars that you need for trading, the three pillars I use to identify these entries on screen. So let's quickly have a look at the entry. So yesterday I shared this setup with you guys, explaining to you demand zones, institutional candles, and the market wick nicely to that area. And we're almost at the situation that if you risk $100, you almost will have about $100 worth of profit on this trade in your own account. Okay, so let's now have a look at what I'm trying to share with you guys, how we're going to go forward and the next big move that I'm expecting. And in order to do that, I want to highlight a few things from you guys. So just like when we were in a bearish set, beginnings of a bearish trend, the way that we identified that the parameters for our trading needs to be that of bearish was looking at the three pillars of trading. So we wanted to have a look at, and let me just switch that off. I look at momentum, trend momentum, and structure always with you guys. And this means that if we look at where we are right now, I want to identify those things, because what we're trying to achieve today is an even tighter entry, tighter stop, so that I can have more Bitcoin for the amount of money I risk, so that when we do get to take profit, I'll have more gains, which is all that we always want to do. We want to be greedy, and you're allowed to be greedy as a trader when you're trading in harmony with the trend, meaning there's an uptrend intact, and now you're allowed to load up. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Okay, so the three pillars that you need to identify, or the three pillars that you need for trading, full stop. The first thing is you need to be able to identify a trend, then you need to be able to identify momentum, and then the structure. Now, typically, this is where a lot of traders mix them up. They don't quite understand what it is. So let me talk you through identifying trend. Now, trend is the simplest way to identify that. And typically what we'll use is trend lines, and we will use moving averages for that. Okay, so how do I use that? Where can I find trend identifiers? So if we go to Trading View, anything that's within this lines and channels and pitchforks, whatever the case would be, these would typically be your trend lines. This is trend identifications. Okay, so you draw a line, price stays above the line, the line is up, so therefore the trend is up. Another way that you can use this is potentially using moving averages. Now, I've given you guys the Trendscope Indicator, which is a free indicator. You can just go and download the thing, go to indicators and just type in Trendscope. It's as simple as that. Then you'll find it there. When you look at that and you go to the inputs, you'll see that there's short-term and long-term. Now, when you look at those things, most traders use them as a trend line as well. Now, the rule is for a moving average to be a trend, you need to have at least two or three, and they all need to point in the same direction. So if they point in the same direction, you have a trend. When they're like this, they are not a trend indicator. They indicate momentum, which means that at this stage, there is nothing, So that's the difference between using a moving average as a trading setup or a trend line identifier, and so forth. Okay, so now anything that is considered within these areas, you can say is a trend line. Now, when we move on and we talk about momentum, this is where it becomes very gray for a lot of traders, because tools that we use to identify momentum is considered to be tools like, let me just hide that, would be the RSI. Now, I use the RSI with you guys a lot. We can look at the RSI and we'll dive in that. But other tools that you can use for momentum is stuff like Wyckoff. Wyckoff got a whole chapter basically on how to identify that. Now, I created a video on that. You're more than welcome to go there. Head over to the Discord and go to the Learn to Trade channel, and you'll find it there under Wyckoff Basics. And I've added additional videos on the laws of Wyckoff as well, if you want to learn a little bit more on that topic. Another way that you can look at momentum is Elliot wave. Now, how do we do that? Well, typically, if you're identifying a 5-wave structure, when you're reaching the end of your 5th wave, your argument would be momentum should be slowing in order for that to be called a 5th, and rightfully so. Another way that you can look at it is Gann theory. So when we look at Gann from that point of view, we can look at all the various boxes, the speeds, the angles, the time it takes. And then lastly, price action, which is another momentum indicator, which means I identified yesterday the trend with you guys, and I looked at the price action candle and I identified that that's where the move will continue onwards. There will be momentum there. Okay. Something just to keep note. Anything that's considered a leading indicator will qualify as a momentum tool. So if you're using a stochastic RSI or a MACD or something like that, I'm not really well versed, but any of those leading indicators. So go and Google what's a leading indicator, and that you can use then to identify momentum. Should you not want to go read up all the books, because I read all the Wyckoff books, I read all the Elliot Wave books, I read all the Gann books and the price action books to kind of identify where momentum would be. Okay, so those would be nifty little tricks and tools that you can use. Now, the last thing that I want to share with you guys then, or the third part of identifying or the pillars of trading, is structure. And this is what most traders are on about. Give me a setup. Structure is another way to just saying a trade setup. And this is not to be confused with theory. So when I talk Wyckoff, when I talk Elliot Wave, when I talk Gann or price action with you guys, it doesn't necessarily mean that is a trading setup. It's the theory, it's the structure that I want to that I use to identify what I'm looking for, or the theory that I use to, I've now misspoke myself, the theory that I use to identify that. So don't mix theory with a setup. Okay. So what do I do to take my trades? Well, a structure or a setup would be something like this. I'm going to open my Fib retracement tools. And if you go into all my strategies, you'll see I've got them named. Sorry, let me just click on the right button. Strat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In addition to that, I also have similar setups named in the buddy indicator. So if you have the buddy indicator, you can get to them. So you can click on the little gearbox there and you'll see as well within the strategies there, they are strat 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are trade setups. What did we have from the buddy indicator yesterday? Simple. The buddy indicator gave you the buy zone there. Okay. From this hidden bullish divergence setup. Then we created within that range, because this is where we were yesterday. In that range, we created strong bullish divergence. So it gave me a strat 1 signal as well. And it said, that's where you need to enter. Each time, each setup gets printed way in advance. So you're never going to chase price. You always have this setup long before price reaches the entry zone. This is the way that I can we can prove that is because when the line starts, that's when the print occurs. When the line starts, that's when the print occurs. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candles, 8 4-hour candles to enter on this long, and you had 1 4-hour candle. So it worked into that, but you had 1, 2, 3, 4 candles time, 4-hour candles time to wait for your entry. So you had enough time to action on this. Okay. Now, how do you get this indicator to kind of identify where structures is? I'll show you now. I share that with you now. Let's continue on with our setups though. Okay. So these are easy tools that we can use for setup. Now, just to finalize the structure part of this, if you're applying a setup, that is where trading rules gets applied as well. Meaning, I have to enter when A, B, C, and D conditions are present. I have to have a risk management of whatever the X would be with the leverage of whatever X and my TPs, and then the emotion goes out of the way. So when we're talking about trend and momentum, you'll have emotions, feelings, biases, however it would be. But when you're talking about a setup, you're a machine. Simple as that. Okay. So if we then take these 3 pillars of trading and we now apply it to our setup, there's a few tricks that I can use for you guys, or use to explain a few things for you guys to make things simpler. Tricks I use to apply trend. The best one that I have is when I go to my Fib tools and I look at the Fib Speed Resistance Fan. Okay, click on that little button there. Now, what do you need to be able to use this tool is an already moving or established trend. Now, how would you know if something's already trending up higher, especially if you're new to trading? Very simple. You're looking for a higher high. That's all you're looking for. There was a high, there was a low. There was a lower low. We're looking for a higher high. That's it. That's it. Once you have that, you're allowed to use this tool. Now, let me show you the magic of this tool. Let me just take away my brush strokes. Let me show you the magic of this tool. I deleted something I shouldn't delete. There we go. Okay. So back to the candles. Very simple. I've got this thing set on the following settings. Pause the screen, copy that, and you're good to go. Okay. So all you need to do is put it at the bottom. And once you have that higher high, your uptrend has been established. Now, when we look at that uptrend, price can go visit that line. And it's a buy the dip moment. So then your hunting ground up to that line means you remain bullish. Simple. Huh? What do you guys think? Now, as price goes, click on it. As price goes and it makes a higher high, you'll see that the conditions for this to remain bullish might change, but that's the nature of the market. Trend lines by themselves as a very narrow outlook on what is happening. And given enough time, it's fair to assume that this is now the trend line. So how do you learn that? How do you navigate the experience to be able to do that? I said, you don't need to. You can just use this tool. Okay. So as long as we're staying above that line and we're making higher highs, you'll see that that means your bias for the hunting ground has to remain bullish. Now, when we're looking at momentum, there's a different way that we can now do that. So, okay, so we're in an uptrend. I'm looking at momentum. There is the problem that you might create strong bearish divergence. These are tools and tricks that you need to learn from studying the RSI. And the rule is, as I always say with you guys, as long as you stay above that initial pivot, you're good. Okay, thou shalt not cross. Stay above that initial pivot, you're good. Stay above that initial pivot, you're good. Okay. But momentum is telling me that the amount of gains that we had there versus there, and the amount of gains that we had there versus there, which is clearly another strong bearish divergence, is becoming less. So very simple. There we made 10%. There we made 7%. So Bitcoin is slowing, rightfully so. So these lateral trades, the trade that I'm in now, this 4 hour, has to have a margin for chop, because that is a potential possibility. And this is now where the pattern traders come in, and they try and steal the show by giving you this, saying, well, all you need to do is just draw a triangle and draw a triangle, and then that's it. You wait for the triangle to resolve itself. But this triangle could turn into a flag, can turn into many things. So the unknown of that is what trips a lot of people up. Okay, so now we've identified momentum is slowing, and that is why if we recap what was said yesterday in the stream, I explained to you guys the Fib sequence. Well, maybe we'll do the recap a little bit later. That is why this trade has to have another entry. That's why I'm looking for a tighter one, because I want to be in the money. Making $100 for risking $100 is not good maths. It's not good risk management for me. So that's why I'm looking for a different one. And I'm going to share that setup with you guys shortly. Okay. Before I do that, we're going to look at the recap from yesterday, and then I'm going to head over to, and I'm going to look at the comments real quick for those watching live. Say hi. Where you at? Let's see. Let's see where you're at. We've got Stanku. Morning, Stanku. Morning, Renee. Ivan. Mr. Banterman is back as well. Vitali, nice to hear from you. But it has been a while. I have been worried about you. Nice to have you here, my friend. Guys, so are you in the long from yesterday? Let's quickly have a look at that. Let me know in the comments. Did you take the setup from yesterday? I mean, it's a nice little setup, if I say so myself. Hello, Baldy. Nice to have you here. And Dean, I think... Yeah, I want to hear, are you in the setup? I have a newborn, so it's been very busy. Well, congratulations to you, my friend. Many blessings, many years of happiness, and very little sleep to you as well, because everybody says it's so amazing until you have one. And then the people that said it's amazing tells you, oh, you're in for a hard ride. You're not going to sleep, and. I know that, well, I've gone through that, luckily, by now. But enjoy every minute of it. I'm really happy for you, my friend. Okay, so let's quickly then have a look at the recap. So as I explained to you guys yesterday from the recap, Fib sequence in candle counting, very simple. Fibonacci is the guide that basically... in short, you can go and read up on it. But the Fibonacci sequence of numbers works as follows. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, etc. Okay. And what I explained to you guys yesterday in these 4-hour candles, that is, we've had 4 bullish candles. We need 5 and then a 6th one. If we can get 6, we'll have 8 candles coming our way, just like we did with the weekly analysis earlier. And we didn't get the 5th one nor the 6th one, so the market retraced. It's as simple as that. Now, this is very effective once you start crossing the 5 candle. Between here, I won't even use it. 1 or 2, it's too random. Okay, you don't have that luxury of more candles coming your way. So this means that we were looking for a buy on the back that if that 4-hour closes bearish, we're going to go back down. Okay, so by now I think everybody would have probably let me know. It seems like nobody took the trade. Guys, have you been in the trade? Okay, and then I also explained to you guys the demand zone. The demand zone is a very simple trick. I'm just going to mark it out for you guys again. There was the demand zone. Now, a demand zone gets identified through a candle structure, and it's a price action theory that you can go and read up on if you want to know how to use that. But it's when there's a big move, gives you a higher high. That means that after a demand zone, there will be whoever engineered this move will come and defend it. Where will they defend it? In the institutional candle that always follows the demand zone. Okay, and that's what basically happened yesterday. So our play played out nicely. Now, I said to you guys, Bitcoin needs a big move in order for the alts to break out. And this is the frustrating side, as you can see where we are with Ethereum at the moment. So if we zoom out, we're stuck in a lateral range. If you look at Solana, we're stuck in a lateral range. And we need to break through this 180. Then the move to 240 will be quick and violent. But unless Bitcoin gives us a big move, that's not going to happen. And that's the plan for today's long. Okay. 17 minutes in. I hope I've given you guys enough value. If so, let me know by giving me a like and sharing the video. Okay. Peter, how many likes do we have? 45 viewers live. How many likes? Let me know if I'm doing this and it's coming through. Okay. Or the value is coming through. Let's put it like that. Okay, so within this 4-hour setup, now we're looking for another move to the upside. Now, this is where you need to then dive into smaller time frame. And I'm going to apply the same rules. Okay. What do I want to see? I want to see a trend. In order for me to identify a trend, I need to have the first wave let go. The first wave will, just like the other one, give me a little bit of an RSI divergence, meaning we need to, or break the divergence. We need to make a higher high here and there in price. So as soon as we break 109,800, this is potentially an uptrend. Then I'm allowed to use the Gann Fib. Okay. Let's plug that in. So I'm waiting for that high. Once I have that high, my hunting ground becomes narrow, because now I know in that area, X marks the spot, is where I need to look for my next trade. Okay. And that's basically where I'm going to leave the stream for you guys, because in the end of the day, although I want to give you the setup right now, I need that higher high before I can risk my own money. And that's it. And that's where the Prime XBT or Blowfin partnership deals comes to your benefit. Okay. Now, if you head over to my Discord, all you need to do is go to the navigation. Links to all this is in the video description as well. And you can just get a partner role there. And all you need to do is select Prime XBT or Blowfin. And that will give you access to my live trade and chat channel and the spot trade setups that I share when I share them, or the trade setups when I share with specifically in that channel. So we talk and debate the whole day. So basically when I trade, I'm there for the whole day. So you're more than welcome to join that. All you need to do is open an account, deposit your trading capital there and trade there. It's as simple as that to qualify. All the instructions and everything you would need will be in this. So you're basically going to select which one, read through the little message, and you should be sorted. Okay, that's it. Okay, guys. So in essence, our long is playing out nicely. Let's go back to the 4-hour. Let's switch all this off. Let's recap our stream for today. the long is playing nicely. I've given you a little bit of education regarding how I see the market and why I am going to go long here. We now understand that it can fail, and if it does, I'm going to remain bullish up till at least $104,000 Bitcoin. Okay, and just like any of these previous setups that I shared, we might be early sometimes, and the market just doesn't want to go there. It doesn't mean that we abandon our trade setup. Okay, we can hunt for and we can trade both sides of the markets. The thing about trading means that I don't need to pick a side. And in the end of the day, once the momentum comes in, which I'm looking for, we can hold this thing for as long as it allows us to be bullish. Meaning I'm thinking 120 as a TP1, 134 as a TP2. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but realistically, those targets are there. Okay, that's it. Over to your comments real quick. Let's see if I can get that. Pump those likes. Yes. Listen to LTech codes. Pump those likes. Took a long, got out. Took a short and got out. I need to learn how to swing trade. My man, you're at the right place. You just need to spend the time, join the Discord, get in there, and all will be taught. Okay. Thanks so much for taking the time with me, guys. Have a lovely day. I will not be making any more streams up until Thursday. So make sure to hit the notification icon if you want to know when I'm going to go live again. You can follow me on all the social media channels. I will be posting out content as I go through. And for the rest of it, I will be in my trade Discord, and I'm going to be trading with my fellow frenemies there. Okay. Have a lovely day. Cheers, guys.